This podcast is brought to you by Autovision and its new AI assistant, Avery. Avery delivers data-driven appraisals, pricing, and detailed strategies for every vehicle. Visit autovision.com to learn more about Avery, where precision meets profit.
Welcome to Daily Drive for Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. I'm Mike Martinez in Detroit, in for Jamie Butters, who's on assignment.
And I'm Kellen Walker in Las Vegas. Today on the show, Nissan plans to shutter more factories after a $4.5 billion net loss. Ford is cutting hundreds of software jobs in North America, and U.S. House Republicans seek to end EV tax credits. Plus, Oshkosh Chief Technology Officer Jay Iyengar details the company's efforts to infuse automated driving technology into work vehicles with niche applications.
It's not about the technology, it's about what it can do in our customers' lives, and that's what we focus on.
Let's run through all the news you need to know to keep up in the auto industry.
Nissan CEO Ivan Espinosa will double the number of planned job cuts and close more plants globally, including possible sites in Japan. The goal is to jumpstart the car maker's faltering turnaround. That's after the company booked a $4.5 billion net loss on massive restructuring charges. Operating profit fell 88% to $466 million in the latest fiscal year. Global sales declined 2.8% in the 12 months. Espinosa is turning up the heat on Nissan's comeback with a new revival plan called Re-Nissan. It's his first comprehensive plan since taking office. On top of the previously reported job cuts, it also aims to shutter 7 assembly plants globally. Espinosa outlined the steps today while giving financial results for the fiscal year that ended March 31st. Nissan withheld earnings guidance for 2025, reflecting the uncertainty of tariffs. Nissan wants to consolidate its global production base from 17 assembly plants to 10 by the fiscal year that ends March 31st, 2028. That's 4 more closures than the automaker previously targeted. Nissan has candidate plants in mind, but Espinosa declined to identify them. After focusing on assembly plants, he says Nissan will turn its attention to streamlining powertrain plants.
Meanwhile, the Japanese automaker that was in talks to merge with Nissan is also gearing up for hard times. Honda expects operating profit to drop nearly 60% in the current fiscal year, after being broadsided by U.S. tariffs. The automaker will suspend large-scale investments in electric vehicle production infrastructure in Canada because of the uncertainty in the outlook. CEO Toshihiro Mibe predicts Honda will face a $4 billion impact from tariffs. Mibe's assessment came as Honda announced a 12% drop in operating profit to just over $8 billion in the fiscal year. Revenue increased more than 6% to about $145 billion, while global sales declined 9.6% to 3.2 million vehicles in the 12 months.
Ford is cutting about 350 connected vehicle software jobs in the US and Canada. It's part of an ongoing effort to improve efficiency. That's according to a person with knowledge of the moves. Affected workers were notified today. The employees work on projects that include the newly launched Ford and Lincoln digital experience. The cuts amount to roughly 5% of the automaker's connected vehicle software team, which is under the purview of Doug Field, Ford's chief EV, digital, and design officer. A Ford spokesperson says the action is unrelated to U.S. import tariffs or Ford's decision to cancel development of a next-generation electrical software architecture internally called FNV4.
Republicans in the U.S. House are putting forward legislation to end the electric vehicle tax credit and repeal fuel efficiency rules designed to prod automakers into building more zero-emission vehicles. The moves are part of a broad-based tax reform bill. The proposal is set for a House Ways and Means Committee hearing today. It would repeal a $7,500 new vehicle tax credit and a $4,000 used vehicle credit on December 31st. But it would maintain the new vehicle credit for an additional year for automakers that have not yet sold 200,000 EVs. The president of the Electric Drive Transportation Association, Genevieve Cullen, criticized the proposal. She said it would deliver an enormous market advantage to competitors like China and threaten U.S. manufacturing and jobs.
And despite possible headwinds from Washington, D.C., General Motors continues to invest in EV technology. GM says it has developed a new battery cell with joint venture partner LG Energy Solution. It says the cell will bring down costs on mainstream EVs without compromising on range. The cell is called lithium manganese rich, or LMR. GM expects it to hit the market by 2028, starting with pickups and full-size SUVs. And those are today's headlines.
So, Mike, Ford is cutting 350 jobs from their connected vehicle software team in the US and Canada. Are legacy automakers having a hard time finding the right talent in this new world of connected vehicles?
I think that's a fair point. This is something that has vexed Ford for years. CEO Jim Farley's been talking for years about trying to find the right talent. He thinks he has most of the team in place. He has sort of referred to it as Ford's secret weapon in the past, the talent acquisition on the software side. But with that being said, it seems like the company is sort of continuously cycling through different team members as they try to update and keep pace with a lot of these startups and a lot of these technology focused companies that are giving the legacy automakers a tough run for their money.
Gotcha. Coming up, Oshkosh Chief Technology Officer Jay Iyengar joins the show. That's next on Daily Drive.
Just when you think you've priced a vehicle perfectly to sell fast, the market changes and potential profit slips through your fingers. After all the work of scouring auction sites, tracking competitor rates, and analyzing market trends, the loss of time and money leaves you frustrated. Meet Avery, your AI assistant from Autovision. Avery revolutionizes how you acquire, price, and sell vehicles by analyzing every detail, from retail values to market trends. And the best part? Avery doesn't just give you numbers, it explains every recommendation so you know everything that was factored in. Picture this: faster appraisals, smarter stocking decisions, and more profitable sales, all without the exhausting legwork. With Avery, you don't just stay competitive, you lead the pack. Ready to see Avery in action? Visit Autovision.com.
Welcome back to Daily Drive. I'm Mike Martinez with Kellen Walker. While robotaxis and driverless personal vehicles get a lot of attention, automated work vehicles are more mature in the market in 2025. One of the companies leading the way in that space is Oshkosh Corporation. Chief Technology Officer Jay Iyengar spoke with our own Pete Bigelow on Shift, a podcast about mobility. Here's a piece of their conversation.
For those who don't know, tell us a bit about Oshkosh, the types of vehicles you build, and the technologies that you've been introducing.
Yeah, so the quick introduction to Oshkosh. We are an industrial technology company built on innovation as a legacy for over 100 years, right? So we started in 1917 based on inventions in the mobility space, right? So we think of ourselves as we serve everyday heroes. If you look at our products are there to serve people who've got the most difficult jobs, whether it's someone delivering your mail on a daily basis, or a construction worker working at height, or your refuse collection sanitation worker that comes to your house every week and picks up your sanitation, or your firefighters, or your people working at the airport, working very hard under inclement weather to make sure that your aircraft has a very quick turn. So this is the common theme that ties the company together, working on everyday hero. And we are an industrial technology company. We talk about technology for everyday heroes, right? So we use technology such as electrification, autonomy, connected solutions, or AI, all to make the job of the everyday heroes easier, right? Making it more productive, safer, and that has been the kind of the motivation for our technology and what we do as a company.
I love this because it's very different than what we often talk about on the auto or even trucking side of things here, where we're talking about vehicles transporting people or goods from point A to point B, and you're kind of describing them instead as a vehicular office, and that's a
Yes.
different use case.
And if you the operators do work in our vehicles for 8-10 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. So we have to think about not just getting them to a place, but they are the very complex controls when they're operating their vehicles inside the vehicle as well as they do their job. So I think what's exciting about Oshkosh is we are a company with a higher purpose, and that is the purpose. Is including we have a defense business as well. We do support soldiers in the field, make sure that they come back safe to their home, to their families. So that is what keeps us together as that's a common thread of who Oshkosh is, and that's a common thread of what technology does for our customers.
It's interesting because you have a variety of vehicles and products in your portfolio, but it also seems like at the same time, regardless of the end vehicle or product, regardless if it's defense or commercial or a ground vehicle, it all seems to converge around these core technologies rather than them being in bespoke silos, which is I think where a lot of industries find themselves today.
And the technology theme carries across these product lines, and there's a lot of learning that takes place on one product as we are developing that translates into other products as well. So there's we work on a very well defined technology stack for electrification, autonomy, connected solutions, where it makes sense. The technology stacks carry through across for no matter what the product is. And our core technology themes, I mean, an example, I talk about this all the time. We've been doing level 5 autonomy for the last 20 years, right? In our defense business, right? And electrification also goes back to 2 decades. So as the technology is maturing, as it becomes more and more mainstream, our teams are quite well prepared and very, very capable of launching these products, whether it's a design, development, or testing, in all aspects of it. We spend a lot of time with our customers. Given who we are, our market position, we are a premier brand. All of our brands are premier and well-respected brands. So we do have the customer trust, and we have we are very privileged to have key customers who are willing to work with us very early on in development, and that helps us as we're developing and deploying technology.
There's a maturity that you just spoke to about your products in the marketplace and perhaps some others that have products in the marketplace like John Deere and Caterpillar. And that was one of my top takeaways from CES. And you just mentioned, we first talked there a few months ago, but for all the talk about robotaxis and attention that they get, that companies such as Oshkosh have products in the field that are quite mature at this point. So tell us about your current product portfolio, and maybe we can start on the automated driving side of things.
Yeah. So let's talk about autonomy. We think of autonomy as it's autonomy and active safety put together, right? I think of active safety at level 1, level 2 autonomy. We talk about level 3 and all the way through. So the difference between what you're going to see in automotive and our vehicles is we use the term moments of autonomy. It is not just about a vehicle has to drive somewhere, driver assist. That's a key part of it, where when someone's driving the vehicle, it needs to have 360 camera, automatic emergency braking, cross traffic alert, all of the safety systems that you're used to seeing in automotive. But once they get to a given location, then they have to work. Their vehicle has to operate, and there's moments of autonomy. Just give you one example of. Let me give you 2 examples. One is in the refuse collection business, right? So when you are you've seen your trucks that come into your house, and on probably I'm not sure what days it comes, once a week. Once they pull into the side of your driveway, or if you're curb on the road by your house, they have to deploy the arm, right? Using a hydraulic control, deploy the arm and grab your bin and then download the bin into the truck. That's a fairly complex operation. It takes somebody 3 to 6 months to get really good at it, and time is money. Faster they can do it, and better they can do it when they don't miss something, The bin could be overloaded. The bin could be tipped. There's a lot of scenarios that can happen as they go through this process. All of that adds to the inefficiency. So we do a autonomous technology where the arm, with the sensors, identifies and locates a bin, and with the push of a button can automatically deploy the arm to the right distance and grab it and dumping it. While it's dumping it, it can look at the content of that's in there. Is there recycle or is there something else mixed in there? That is a tremendous amount of productivity savings. That's an example of a moment of autonomy. Another example would be on our jet bridge. We have a big airport ground support equipment business, and chances are, if you are flying in the U.S. anywhere, you probably went on the Oshkosh jet bridge. So you've landed many times, I'm sure, where you're waiting for the jet bridge to deploy, or they didn't have an operator to deploy, or it took a long time for the jet bridge to come and meet with the aircraft. That's a great example of a moment of technology where the dock itself can identify and locate the door of your aircraft, and then move it 90% of the way, right? Maybe the last few inches that somebody can manually deploy, which is a much easier operation to do, as well as all of these have labor challenges, and this is all real, concrete cost savings and benefits our customers have. So we look at moment of autonomy very, very seriously across all our applications before we say, let me just make it fully autonomous, completely driverless. So
if I think about this, you're doing the opposite in a way of what a lot of companies are doing, where they start with the technology and say, what can I do with this? Whereas it sounds like you are starting with a business case that addresses very specific pain points and needs and brings short-term value to your customers.
Yeah, there is a lot of value to be unlocked there. That's before you go all the way into full autonomy. You said it really well. We look at customer pain points and unmet needs. Start that, and we work with the customers very closely to figure out what it is worth. If they save, I don't know, 10 seconds every time they pick up a refuse bin, what is that worth for them for the day? These things add up. I mean, some of these things add up very quickly. So since we have the customer trust, we work with them very closely and with the key customers and share, how would you prioritize? Here's the 3 or 4 things that, forget the technology solution that we could do. And we are very privileged. They're willing to work with us saying, okay, why don't you develop this? And I would be happy to deploy in my fleet and get you some feedback real life. So we get that as well. So it's not about the technology. It's about what it can do in our customers' lives. And that's what we focus on. And then the business case will come, and the technology is always there somewhere. We can always go get it. I mean, I always say, the future is already here. It's just not equally distributed. So, there'll be a technology somewhere from automotive or some other place we can always bring it into our use cases. But we always start out with the problem statement first.
You can hear Oshkosh CTO Jay Iyengar's full conversation with our own Pete Bigelow on the latest episode of Shift, a podcast about technology. That's available now wherever you get your podcasts. That's Daily Drive for today. I'm Mike Martinez, in for Jamie Butters.
And I'm Kellen Walker. Thanks to Automotive News executive producer Jake Neer, as well as our own Hans Greimel and Lindsay Van Hully for their reporting for today's podcast. You can get the latest news on tech and innovation, earnings results, and everything happening in the auto industry at autonews.com.
Come back tomorrow for more on Nissan and Honda's latest earnings slides and what they plan to do to turn things around. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the show and the topics we covered today. Send us an email at dailydrive@autonews.com or leave us a voicemail at 313-444-2774. And if you enjoyed the podcast, remember to like, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.